Folks, we're going to do a feeding video today. Now, we did quite a bit of work to this payloader here last week. Hoping you can hear me good enough here. And I thought I would just kind of show you what this machine does on a daily basis. We put about 9 hours a day on it. It starts the day out loading feed wagons, mixer wagons that is. And then we spend a few hours after we get done feeding in the afternoon, most generally. And what we'll do is we'll move the feed a day ahead of time. So what he's doing now, he has a Fritsch Defacer on there, and he is just defacing down the amount of feed that we're going to feed the following day. And the reason why we use a defacer is it leaves a real nice straight even face on the bunk. Now I've got the drone up in the air and you can kind of see how that's kind of working. And that defacer is driven with hydraulic motors that are on each side of the defacer. And then as you can see, as he's going down with the defacer, he's moving the machine back. He'll end up moving 3 truckloads of this up near the commodity shed, and then we'll be using this for feed for tomorrow. Now this feed was chopped in the fall of 2020, and this bunk is about 2/3 empty right now, and we've got another BMR bunk up above, and we'll show you that here in a little bit. We'll go ahead and leave him alone for a second, and we'll go over to the haylage bunk that is next door here, and we'll show you what that looks like. He has that already defaced. All right, this over here is first cutting haylage, and he just got done defacing this. He'll move up 2 truckloads from this bunk, and then the BMR bunk that he is in right now, he needs to move 3 truckloads of that up, and then we'll dump that up and near the commodity shed, so that when we go to load feed here in the morning, we'll be able to load the feed a lot faster, and we won't have to chase all over the place to get the different ingredients that we need to get. Now we'll go up and we'll show you the other bunks that he has already defaced that he will move here after he gets this stuff moved, and we'll just kind of explain things a little bit, and then we'll go into some footage from feeding cows here. All right, right now we are standing in behind the bunk that he was defacing, the BMR silage, and then that is the first cutting bunk there that he has already defaced. And in behind us, which I'll turn the camera around in a second here, is the what we call the upper bunks, and then we can fill these bunks once we get up over the wall. We can fill these bunks from the top here, and what I am standing on right now is the apron to the bunk that is in behind us. That's Garrett there. He moves feed 6 days a week, and Jaden moves feed on the one day that he doesn't move feed. So I've just turned around now, and once we get done with this BMR bunk that is in behind us, I'll end up moving into this bunk here, which is BMR, and then we've got conventional silage on the other side of it. Now, these bunks up here are 100 feet wide, this one and that one there. And when we originally built these bunks, the first year we had feed here, we had just a concrete pad with a cutout for where that wall went, and all we had is a drive over pile on the cement pad here. And then the following year we ended up, well, maybe we filled this one more year with only the side walls on it, and I don't even think we had a back in it at that point. And then we added the center wall. So we'll walk over in next door here to the conventional silage. Now this bunk here, we split it a little less than from the halfway point At this moment, we're not feeding as much feed out of this bunk, and this one doesn't look as good as it should. And the reasoning for that is we had corn silage in this bunk right here that was left over on this side from 2019. So we wanted to feed that silage that was left over first so that we could feed the fermented feed, and we went only after what we needed to, and then the side kept falling down on us. That's why it looks a little ratty here, and then that's what it'll look like you know, if you were just pecking at it with the bucket. And that's kind of what the side looks like, because we fed through it a little faster than we should. He's starting to straighten his sidewall up a little better now, and it's a little hard to do it with that defacer anyways. You have to leave yourself 5 or 6 feet, turn around and get the side of it, and he really doesn't have enough room to get in there from where that wall is to where the side is, because of the length of the payloader. So again, this here is conventional silage, and then we have high moisture corn in this bunk next to it. And if you recall, when we filled this bunk, we had the roller mill up on there, or the hammer mill. This year's, that's what we used, up on this upper side. Now he is already defaced this high moisture corn, and what the high moisture corn is kernels of corn ground up. Now this face here is real hard. That is actually harder than haylage, believe it or not. You wouldn't think that the corn would pile that great, but because it's got the moisture in it, it packs well and it stays in a nice pile. And it does really good here. We got about 20, I think there's 27 or 8 ton in this bunk, and then we've got just shy of 1,000 ton of high moisture corn in that silo, which will start feeding the corn out of that silo when this bunk is empty. And we want to feed the bunk during the cold winter months. Just you're able to keep it fresher longer because you don't have the heat working on it. So he's got a couple other bunks up above here that he has defaced. We'll walk up and show you those. We'll drive up, actually. All right, we're gonna do this segment right from the seat of the truck here, and that haylage there is 4th cotton. We'll feed that direct here right from the bunk while we're loading mixer wagons in the morning. And this is where our commodity shed is, right here. That is what we call bunk 3. This bunk here is bunk 2, and that has BMR in it from 2020. And what we'll do is we'll feed that out when we're chopping corn in 2021. That way we can feed a fermented feed. In other words, it's corn silage that is already insilaged itself, and it is actually better for the cow than feeding her fresh corn silage chopped right out of the field. This here is bunk 1, and we also had BMR in it from 2020, and that of course is almost gone. We've got just a little bit left there in the back side. That'll be gone here in the next couple of days. Now we're going to drive over to bunk 4, which is the bunk that is out in behind this one. So Garrett's just getting switched off the defacer, and he's hooking on to this rollout bucket, and that's run off the hydraulic function. And we've got a faster coupler, kind of like a combine hookup right on the front of the payloader here. So up in front of this bucket is the old defacer that we had on the telehandler. It's the same kind as the defacer that we run off of the payloader, and we haven't used this in quite a while, but it's there for when we need it. All right, so this is the silage rake here. We don't use this silage rake that much, just for the the high, tall bunks, more or less. And that is the bucket that goes to the 544. That's not a rollout bucket, like the bucket that we're using on the 624. That silage rake there has just the teeth on it, and then you rake down, you just kind of, you're scratching the front of the bunk, and it works pretty good. It pulls down the feed just as fast as the defacer, believe it or not. And we've seen both of these units here, and I said earlier that this was 16 feet long. This is more or less probably 10. I can't remember the exact measurement on that. It's I know it's 10 foot wide, and it's probably 10 or 12 foot long. All right, we're into the following day here now, and I forgot to video this bunk 4. This is bunk 4, and this is third cutting, and of course he has already moved it, and I have already fed this feed off here today. But this bunk 4 is in behind bunk 1 and 2, and it kind of wraps around into bunk 3. Once that gets back to about where the wall is between 2 and 3, second cutting will start, which is underneath the third cutting here. So we're going to go into the rest of the video here, which will be feeding. All right, we are into the next morning here now. It's just a little bit after 3 a.m. I've got the mixer wagons in here behind me. Just pulled them out of the commodity shed, and we've got the payloader running. And we're going to start loading feed. I know there's not a lot to see right here now, but we'll put the camera on the mixers as we're going through the barn. You can at least see that. And then once we get a little daylight here, we'll get the camera out and we'll show you the loading process of getting the feed into the mixer wagon. So let's get started here now, and then the next clip is going to be dumping the loads off in the barn. Alright, we're starting to get a little bit of snow here. I'm just about done feeding. I've got 2 loads left to do, and we'll just talk about these mixers for a minute. It is, what is it? Just after 8 o'clock in the morning here, and these mixer wagons, they're both the same size. They are Supreme 1200Ts. We'll get into both of them, and we'll show you what they look like. The white one there with the cow marks on it, we rebuilt that 2 years ago. We put new screws in it and new wall liners. We'll show you what the wall liner consists of. And because of all the welding that got done, a lot of the paint got burned off it, so we repainted it, and we repainted it with the cow scheme. This other mixer here, we ended up rebuilding just a year ago now. And this mixer we bought used from another farm here in central New York. And we did the same thing with this one. We put new screws in it and new liners. Now the liner, that comes up to here. And when you weld that, it burns all the paint off. Now, we ended up, in both of these mixers, I ended up welding the date in here on the baffle. You can see 1/2020. And just to give you an idea of how much this feed wears on this stuff, you can see that weld is starting to wear off some. It's still on there. It's only been on there a year. But we'll show you the other mixer will be wore down pretty good. We actually need to put new kicker plates in. They're about wore out. And our knives are getting a little thin here. So they've been in here a whole year now. And they're starting to get a little thin. You can see that bottom one there. The edge is wore off of it. And there's 3 5/8 carriage bolts that hold them in, along with an Allen screw that's on the back side of the backing plate. So you can see, if you note when we get in that other mixer, the thickness of this screw here is, I think when they're new they're like 5/8, and being that other mixer has got about a year's worth more wear on it, that's going to be wore down a little bit more than this. So let's climb out, and we'll climb into the white one quick, and then we'll get loading these last 2 loads up. All right, so we have just climbed into the white mixer, and I don't know if you could see any bit of a difference in the camera here between the wear on these screws, comparing this white mixer, which has got an extra year's worth of wear on it. These are 2 years old. The other one's a year old, but you know, this is getting down to maybe that 1/2 inch thick range, maybe 7/16. So this one here, we ended up welding the date on this one as well. Although it's still there, it is wore down considerably compared to what it looked like when we welded it on there, 2/2019. So the kicker plates in this one, they were put on about a month after the ones in that other mixer, and they're not wore down as much. So the idea of the kicker plate is it collects the grain that's along the bottom of the mixer, and it kicks it up in the air so that it can be mixed in with the rest of the ration here. So we're just going to make our way around this mixer wagon. Now this one has the rear door in it, the other one does not. Same thing, liner comes up into this height here, and it is what it is. So we'll go ahead and climb out of this, and we'll start loading up some feed here. All right, we're loading up the last 2 loads of feed here for the morning. Now we basically feed once a day. However, we do feed one more load in the afternoon. We're feeding around 300,000 pounds of feed altogether. and one of my brothers will end up feeding about a 30,000 pound load here in the afternoon to just kind of divide the feed up in all the low spots amongst within the 3 barns. Just getting done loading this feed up here, and I kind of screwed up on the time lapse. So I've got a cow load on a milk cow load on this red mixer wagon here. That one's full, and this white mixer's got a heifer load on it, and that's only about a third full, or a third to a half. It's got a third of a load to a half a load on it. On Mondays we end up putting bedding sand in. That's why that other payloader is in front of the commodity shed there. I know some of you have asked, you know, what did we use to load feed with while we were working on the 624 last week, and well, there's your answer. We've got 2 loaders. So that is a 544J, and that's what we used to load feed here last week. So I guess that's gonna do it for this video, folks. I want to thank you for watching, and we will catch you at the next video.